This is TomSlickTV.com.
Are you ready?
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
You ready?
You can't handle
The naked truth. Welcome. For those who don't know, this is Elder Mmoja Ajabu, your host for After Naked Truth. This program is designed to strip the clothes off of well-dressed lies. And there's a bunch of well-dressed lies running around here. I would advise you that if you're looking for a well-dressed lie that people are pawning off at the truth, that you go listen to another program. This is Elder Ajabu, your most truthful talk show host in America. If you want a well-dressed lie, then go listen to Sean, whatever his name is, Handyman, Handkerchief Head, something. Go listen to him or his big brother who's sick today, Rush Limbaugh's. Go listen to them. They are very, very good at telling well-dressed lies and pawning them off as the truth. But if you listen to this program, you're going to get the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the butt-naked truth. Because Elder Ajabu is unbought, unbossed, and unafraid of the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the butt-naked truth. I'm telling you, you are listening to the most truthful talk show host in America. Today, I want to deal with the term KUJICHAGULIA. And I'll define that. And I want to deal with KUJICHAGULIA in relationship to the discussion that's going on about reparations. We will talk about reparations. We'll talk about this group that has organized itself, ADOS, American Descendants of Slavery. Imagine that. We're going to delineate that. But first of all, I want to talk about that, like I said, in reference or in relationship to KUJICHAGULIA. KUJICHAGULIA is the second principle of Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa is a 7-day celebration that happens at the end of the year from December 26th to January 1st. And it was put together by Maulana Rankaringa for black people to regain our African roots. KUJICHAGULIA means to define ourselves, name ourselves, speak for ourselves, instead of being defined, named, and spoken for by others. We need to embrace that. Because if we embrace that, then what that means is we have matured to where it's that we're not looking for other people to do for us that which we ought to be doing for ourselves. When you talk about reparations, what is reparations? Well, I looked that up. Reparations is defined as, for slavery, is the idea that some form of compensatory payment needs to be made to the descendants of Africans who have been enslaved as a part of the Atlantic slave trade. This group, this organization, ADOS, Americans Descendants of Slavery, that is what they're pushing for. They're pushing for reparations. But I question not their efforts, but the language that they are using to define themselves. American descendants of slavery. If we were Americans, would we need reparations? I'm just asking, and I'm trying to provoke thought, because I looked up their page on Facebook, and it looks like some young people who got plenty of energy, but they need some guidance, in my humble opinion, you know, because if we were Americans, we wouldn't need reparations. I mean, in 1857, there was a ruling by the United States Supreme Court. Y'all know Dred Scott. In that ruling, they were trying to determine where people of African descent, people that were enslaved here in America, people of African descent that were enslaved here in America, whether we were citizens or not. They ruled we were not citizens, and the Chief Justice, Roger Taney, said that yes, people of African descent have rights, but none that white people are bound to respect. So we weren't citizens, and by law we were not citizens. We weren't bought here as citizens. When we got here, we weren't citizens. And today, how we're treated, it's hard to conclude that we are citizens. So why would you call yourself an American and you have to seek reparations? Now, funny enough, now Taney made that ruling in 1857. In 1862, Abraham Lincoln outlawed slavery in the District of Columbia, you know, Washington, D.C. And so he made the 900 slave owners in Washington, D.C. give up their slaves, and the federal government paid the slave owners $300 per slave that they emancipated. They paid them reparations. They repaired them. They said that, look, you're going to lose labor because them Negroes ain't going to be working for free no more. And if they're not going to be working for free, we're going to give you $300 for each one of them because you're going to miss their labor. Now look at that. They paid the slave owner, and they told the slave, buddy, you on your own. I'm telling y'all, I'm unbought, unbossed, and unafraid of the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the butt-naked truth. If you can't stand the truth, I done told you to go look to one of them people that's going to give you a well-dressed lie. There will be no lies told on this program. You are listening to the most truthful talk show host in America. How? And I'm telling you, this is the truth. The government, who ADOS, Americans, descendants of slaves, who they are addressing, want the government to give reparations to descendants of slavery when the government already done told you, you're not a citizen. We're not going to teach you as a citizen. Yes, you got rights. None the white folks are due to respect. And 5 years after that ruling, they emancipate slaves in Washington, D.C. and give the slave owner money, but give the slave, all right, yon. 5 years later, General William T. Sherman, January 16th, 1865, he signed Special Field Order number 15 that says that when people of African descent are freed from slavery, that we should get 40 acres and a mule. See, we don't need to ask for reparations. All we need for the government to do is follow the law. The president, Lincoln, approved us to have 40 acres and a mule. And I mean, they defined it so well. Let me listen to it. Today, we commonly use the phrase 40 acres and a mule, but few of us have read the order itself. Have you read it? Don't worry, I'm getting ready to read it for you. The order says it's in 3 parts, and section 1 bears repeating in full. The islands from Charleston south, the abandoned rice fields along the rivers for 30 miles back from the sea, and the country bordering the St. Johns River, Florida, are reserved and set apart for the settlement of Negroes now made free by the acts of war and the proclamation of the President of the United States. They had set aside land specifically so that we could get at least 40 acres in the mule, so that we had land in order to define ourselves, name ourselves, speak for ourselves, feed ourselves, house ourselves, educate ourselves. It was the law. And that was back in 1862. Now we're in 2019 and we're still asking for reparations. We don't have to ask for reparations. All we need to ask for the government to do is follow the law. Look, Section 2 specifies that these new communities, moreover, listen to this, would be governed entirely by people of African descent on the islands and in the settlements hereafter to be established. No white person whatever, unless military officers and soldiers detailed for duty, will be permitted to reside, and the sole and exclusive management of affairs will be left to the people of African descent. Lord have mercy. Give us the land. Follow the law. We don't need to be named an American, and all that is a word. If we are Americans, then give us what the law said that we were supposed to do. William Sherman, ain't that his name? William T. I left out the T. William T. Sherman, at the behest of the president, said that we ought to get 40 acres and a mule. And they ain't through. It said, by the laws of war and orders of the President of the United States, the Negro is free and must be dealt with as such. That was 1862. 2019, we still enslaved. Yeah, we just a high-class, well-kept slave. See, who was it? Harriet Tubman. She said that she could have freed more of us if we only realized that we were enslaved. Now, them brother walking around with in tattered clothes, living in a lean-to, getting a chance to eat the bowels of the pig, work from can't see in the morning to can't see at night, don't get no money for it, and he didn't even know that he was enslaved. Now they done stepped up their game. They let you go to work in the morning, get off in the evening, and you can see, give you a little money. Once you pay, get your money, and you pay for your housing, you pay for your clothing, you pay for your transportation, you pay for your food, and you hardly ain't got nothing else to pay for anything else. So you just a well-kept slave that gets a paycheck. So how are you an American if in this day and age we are in the same situation? We can get kicked down, shot down by the police, nobody held accountable. We go try to get a loan from the bank, can't get one. Want to start a business, can't get a small business loan. Housing that they try to put us in is inferior. Vehicles that we ride in, mostly used. Most of us can't afford a brand new car. We do, Then we got to juggle between the brand new car payment and the rent or the mortgage. You're just a well-kept slave. And Harriet Tubman's words are true today as they were then. If we only understood that we are enslaved, then more of us would be about being free. So what happened? $300. The Democrats running for president said, oh yeah, I support reparations, but I wouldn't give out no money. Well, when we were supposedly emancipated in Washington, D.C., they gave the slave owner money. $300 in 1800s is about $6,000 now. So why not give every man, woman, and child of African descent $6,000 like you gave the slave owner when you emancipated us? I'm just saying. Or give us the 40 acres in the mule, that land that's in the second section of Special Order 15. It's still there. Give us that land. Give us that 40 acres. We don't need the mule. We'll get a tractor. Give us we don't give me no mule. I'll take a deer, a John Deere, but don't give me no mule. You know, I'll take International Harvester, but don't give me no mule. I don't want no mule. I got to give him hay and then he gonna do his business all over the place. No, give me something I gotta put some gasoline in. Let me work with that. And give me the $6,000. Give me the $6,000 or the 40 acres. But you got people running for office who are talking about they ain't gonna give us no money, but they want to give us a tax credit. Lord help me today. Look at this. Over the last week, Senator Kamala Harris of California, Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts, and former Housing and Urban Development Secretary Julian Castro spoke of the need for the U.S. government to reckon with and make up for centuries of stolen labor and legal oppression. But instead of backing the direct compensation of African Americans for legacy of slavery, the Democratic candidates are talking about using tax credits and other subsidies. Don't give me no tax credit. Give me some paper, or give me some land, or give me some paper and give me some land. Do not give me a mule. I don't want no mule. Give me a tractor with the implements and some gasoline. That's what we need. And if they're serious about doing something, see, you got to watch the language. And this is the point I want to make to them youngsters that are pushing, and they should push. But you can't short circuit yourself. If you call yourself an American descendant of slavery, you just done killed all your African history. We can't do that. We can't start our legacy at slavery. No. That way you act like that you're supposed to be oppressed. If you want to, who is that says that? John Henry Clark. He says that if you want people to accept oppression, first of all, you must persuade them that they are supposed to be oppressed. And they use religion to do that. Oh, Ajabu, did you say that? Yes, I did. I'm unbossed, and unafraid of the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the butt-naked truth. And Lord knows I'm God-fearing. But says that if you a slave, be a good one. No. And that's what the white folks was teaching us and saying that that's what Jesus said. Jesus ain't saying that. He said he came to bring a sword. He said he came to relieve oppression. He said that he came to make everybody equal participating citizens. Now, he didn't say it like that, but that's what he said. That's the Jesus I serve. That's the Jesus I follow. That's the one that I try to be mimic. And if he's anointed, then yeah, I'm following that. But no, don't give me no slave religion. That's what they trying to give you. That's what they giving you. When you go into the church and they got a white Jesus, they got a white Peter, they got white angels, they practicing white nationalism. And especially when you know in Revelations, the first chapter, 13 through 15, it describes Jesus as having hair that is like a wool, like this here. You know, he talks about his feet being like brass that have been burnt unto a furnace. That's about like, well, that's darker than me. I mean, that's coal black. That's like this hat. That's coal black. So how did Jesus on the Sistine Chapel in the Pope's place, how did he become white? With a little boy on his arm. How did that happen? As much as the Bible speaks against homosexuality, you got Jesus depicted on the walls and the ceilings of the Sistine Chapel like he's a pedophile. Ajabu, did you? I done told y'all I'm unbossed, and unafraid of the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the butt-naked truth. So young people, when you're talking about the language to push for reparations, I'm not saying don't push, but don't define yourself as something that you're not. You're not an American. They don't treat you as an American, but and you don't care. Treat you with respect. Follow the law. And if you respect yourself, then they will respect. If we respect ourselves, then they will make the adjustment. When you talk about these black people who are talking about reparation, you got to be careful with the language. What am I saying? Look at the 13th Amendment. The 13th Amendment of the United States Constitution was supposed to abolish slavery. But it didn't abolish it. And if you read it, and I wish I had it here, but it says all slavery is abolished. There shouldn't be no slavery in the United States of America except that you be duly convicted of a crime. And so then they said, that's the way to keep slavery in effect. Yeah, we'll tell them that we eradicated it, but what we'll do is not only tell them that, but we'll know different. See, I got a producer that's on top of things. He done gave it to me. This is what the amendment says. He says, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude except, and you got to listen to the exception clause, as punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. So what they said is they can enslave you if they convict you of a crime. So what do? If you look at the statistics, who do they convict disproportionately in this country? You and me. Because they want to enslave us. Slavery is still in effect. So if you want to talk about reparations, you got to be careful that they'll tell you and use that term, and in all the circumstances, they'll be giving you a well-dressed lie. I'm telling you, I'm unbought, unbossed, and unafraid of the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the butt-naked truth. You are listening to the most truthful talk show host in America. So when you talk about Kamala Harris, Elizabeth, Warren, Cory, Booker, don't let them hoodwink you by using the term reparations and then come talking to you about a tax credit. A tax credit helps everybody. We're talking about a program indigenous, specifically directed for people of African descent in this country whose forefathers and foremothers were enslaved. See, they always want to tell us, well, we want to help all the people, and we ain't got no problem with you helping all the people, but all the people wasn't enslaved. So that makes us particular. That means that there is a particular solution to solve that problem. Don't give us a problem that addresses everybody's problem and just throw us in there. No. You didn't throw them in when we was enslaved. They wasn't out there with that mule in the 1800s. We had a mule, maybe. And I'm telling you, I tell you what, if you want to throw them into the slave thing, give us the 40 acres and the $6,000 and give them the mule. I ain't got no problem with them having the mule. But don't give me no mule. I want a deer. I want old John deere. I want International Harvester. Don't give me no mule. Give that to the people that you trying to lump in with us. I'm telling you, I'm sick of that language, and you got to watch them. You think that they on the up and up, and they ain't on the up and up, because slavery is still in effect in America, legally. The 13th Amendment legalizes slavery in America if they take you through that rigged system, and Trump got something with that. It ain't rigged against him, but it is rigged against us. For those of you that have been caught up in the justice system, and when you talk about African American males, that's 1 out of 3. If you see 3 males, one of them been caught up in the system. And he knows that it's rigged. I know personally that it's rigged. I done been convicted of stalking a white woman, and Lord knows it's hard for me to walk behind a white woman, let alone stalk her. Any woman. And I'm going to get into that a little more later. Buckle up. It's going to be a rough ride. But I'm just talking about the people, the youngsters who have to, and see, they started out as what did they start out as? Their name, they changed the name from Breaking Brown family to the Breaking Brown. And then they moved from Breaking Brown to ADOS, American Descendants of Slavery. Well, you need to change your name again. African Descendants of Slavery. You got to grab your roots. You got to claim your roots. You cannot love the tree if you don't love the root of the tree. So I'm just sharing with you. And you're right. I didn't get into that, but let me see if I can get in it right quick. When you ask Joy Reid to stop maligning your name, every Saturday at 3 o'clock, we do voters education. Martin Luther King fought and died for us to have, or fought and won us the right to vote. Now we must learn how to use it. Saturday, 6250 West 38th Street, 3 o'clock. You've been listening to Elder Mmoja Ajabu, your host for After Naked truth. Unbought, unbossed, and unafraid of the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the butt-naked truth. The most truthful talk show host in America. You know I ain't got but one question for you. You ready? The naked truth.
You can't handle
The naked